Right, hi everyone, and welcome to Diesel Arsenal. And it's Warren here. I'm from Warren's Team Talk, and the reason I'm on Diesel's channel tonight is because I'm going to talk to you all about the Bermuda Triangle, and we're going to try and find out what the hell's going on. Like planes going missing, people going missing, boats going missing. It's an absolute madness, but it's been going on for a long time. And I'm going to go through it all. I'm going to tell you about what it is, where it is, some interesting facts about it, some of the history around it, and then I'll tell you what I think. So without further ado, let's get into it. Before I do that, though, I'm going to do what Diesel does and just say hello to everyone in the chat. So Jez is in. Hi, Jez. Nice to see you, mate. I hope you're well. We've got Daryl Denton. Nice to see you, buddy. And he's saying the Bermuda Triangle does not appear on any world maps, just like Area 51. Well, yeah, and that really tells you what you need to know, doesn't it? And then we got James Steele. It's a very interesting zone. It certainly is, mate. And then he says it's its own magnetic field affecting many natural forces, vortexes in the air, and whirlpools, mechanical, like ships, compasses, and engines. Yeah, 100%, mate. And Craig Malloy says, evening to me. Hi, Craig. Nice to see you, buddy. And Mike England, and he says, good evening. Hi, mate. How are you? Lovely to see you. Right, so let's get on with it. So, what is the Bermuda Triangle? Right, so the Bermuda Triangle, it's also known as the Devil's Triangle, is an area of the North Atlantic that covers about 500,000 square miles, and for hundreds of years has had reports of strange and unexplained phenomena happening, such as disappearance of aircraft, ships, and or people, and as well as navigation equipment playing up or simply not working or malfunctioning or simply acting really weirdly. It has also been reported that some ships have travelled through this region were discovered completely abandoned and for no apparent reason. Others transmitted no distress signals and were never seen or heard from again, which is I don't know as well as any other places on the planet where this happened. Well, later in the show, I'm going to talk to you about places that I've got really weird stuff going on with them, because there's a few. And then aircraft flying through the area have completely vanished, and rescue missions that have been sent out to find them have also suffered the same fate when flying into the area. However, no wreckage has ever been found, which is, yeah, I just find that really bizarre. It really is. I mean, if stuff is going to crash, you'd expect to find some sort of wreckage, because this is big stuff we're talking about. Like aircraft, it's like, some of them carry 400-500 odd people, and ships as well, like carrying huge amounts of cargo and stuff like that. So they can't just vanish into thin air, you would think, but that's what seems to be happening. Right, so where is it? So the Bermuda Triangle is a section of the Atlantic Ocean, which is roughly a triangular shape, which is between Miami, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico. So let's... So we just talked about that. So this is where it is. That on the map there, you can see that little triangle. That tells you roughly whereabouts it is. And now, just before we go any further, please, everyone, please make sure that you subscribe to my channel, Warren's Team Talk. Now, on that channel, I talk about football and about Arsenal in particular. Tomorrow at 3 o'clock, I'm doing a stream where I'm doing part 3 of a season review for my channel for Arsenal, as that's the team that I support. And then also, guys, please make sure that you subscribe to Diesel if you haven't done so already. Diesel Arsenal channel. And also, guys, please make sure you go and check out the Guendouzi Trust. I put a link into the chat earlier about the Guendouzi Trust. So just click on the link and it'll tell you more about the work they do, because it's excellent, excellent work. They're giving, I believe, opportunities to disadvantaged kids to go and see football matches at the Emirates Stadium in the best seats in the house. Not just any seats, the best ones. So make sure you go and check them out and see what it is they get up to. Right? Anyway, moving on. So let's have some interesting facts about the Bermuda Triangle. So let's see. Well, we've got plane crashes and sinking ships, right? Between 1945 and 65, it is claimed that up to 5 planes crashed in the area and that 10 ships sank or disappeared from 1800 to 1963. There are often extremely violent and unexpected storms. The area referred to as the Bermuda Triangle is known for this, and they just seem to build up and disappear just as quickly as they arrive. It's just very, very strange altogether. Now, the Bermuda Triangle is only one of 2 places on the whole planet where a compass points to true north rather than magnetic north. All right, because normally what happens is that you will have on a compass, it won't always point directly to where true north is, but it will, and so that's why there's a true north and a magnetic north. Don't ask me to explain how that works, because I ain't got a bloody clue, but that's what happens. So that can cause a huge problem. Now, there are, in this area as well, it's one of the deepest spots on the planet. Now, Bermuda itself is a remote coral reef which sits on top of a massive extinct volcano, and it is surrounded by the Atlantic Ocean, and in this area, the ocean is more than a mile deep. So, we're not talking about a little paddling pool here. Do you know what I mean? It is really, really bloody deep. Now, in the area, there are large concentrations of methane gas. Now, methane gas, for those of you who don't know, with water, what if the methane gas breaks out and then rises to the surface? It usually rises to the surface as bubbles. And when that happens, if there's any ships like sailing through the area, what it does, it lowers the density of the water, meaning that then the ship can't float and they will just sink to the bottom. So a lot of people sort of think this has got something to do with it. So we'll look at that in a bit more detail in a minute. So yeah, look, again, I'm going to keep banging on about this tonight. Make sure you subscribe to Diesel's channel, Diesel Arsenal, and also to mine, Warren's Team Talk. And also go and check out the work of the Guendouzi Trust, please. We're not charging you for this, but please, please, please just do that for us, all right? Those 2 things. Check out mine and Diesel's channel, and go and check out the work of the Guendouzi Trust, because they do excellent, excellent work. Right, so what we're going to talk about now are the conventional theories that have been put forward to explain the Bermuda Triangle. Right, now, let's have a look at that. Hold on a sec. Right, so one of them is about malfunctioning navigational equipment, right? And the Bermuda Triangle is one of only 2 places on Earth where a compass points to true north rather than magnetic north. All right, as I said earlier. Now, this is known as the agonic line. It's the place at which there is no need to compensate for magnetic compass variations, and failure to take this into account would result in aircraft or ships experiencing significant navigation errors and finding themselves far off course, which would obviously result in catastrophe. However, this does not account for the accounts of ships and aircraft that aircraft and or crew and passengers simply completely disappearing. The area can play havoc with instruments on deck magnetic equipment, and magnetic vortices, hot and cold currents could all be responsible for causing the difficulties faced by ships and planes, navigational equipment. Other suggestions include an electronic fog that could block both the visibility and the instruments. So basically, they would this fog would basically just make the equipment inoperable. So I don't know if any of you have seen the film Close Encounters of the Third Kind, but in that film, when the alien spaceships are flying over the town, they knock out all the electricity. So all the lights in the town go off, and the radios will either stop working or come on inexplicably. It just really weird stuff happened. So, and this is what they're sort of talking about here, but in a different way. Anyway, so, and the Daryl Denton has just put a chat in saying, bright side, why the Bermuda Triangle doesn't appear on any world maps at YouTube. So there's obviously Daryl's drawing reference to a YouTube video about, I think probably called Brightside, where it talks about why it doesn't appear on any world map, which is quite interesting, really. And if you're interested in this sort of stuff, I'd definitely recommend going and checking that out, because it'd be interesting to find out why they don't want to make it appear. Anyway, so it's one of the deepest spots on the planet, as I already mentioned. In fact, the nature of the area, which lies underwater in the area, could be a factor in the history of disappearances. It goes from a gently sloping continental shelf to an extremely deep drop-off, and some of the deepest trenches in the world are found in the area of the Bermuda Triangle. So the Bermuda Shelf itself is a remote coral reef which sits on top of a massive extinct volcano, and it is surrounded by the Atlantic Ocean, which is more than a mile deep. So ships or planes that sank into these deep trenches would probably never ever be found, because the fact that it just goes down so far, they wouldn't be able to get down there. Because I remember when I was a kid watching a program about deep sea diving, and it comes to a point where they can't go any deeper because of the equipment can't stand the water pressure. The water pressure is so intense that it just becomes impossible for them to go down. So whether that's still the case, I don't know, but I remember it was, I think, in the 70s and 80s. So, and James says, so deep we can't get down. Yeah, I think that's basically what it's saying. James Dunlop's appeared. He says, evening, Warren, I hope you're well. Mate, evening all. Nice to see you, James. Thanks for coming in. And the Aussie Goiners here as well. And he's saying hello to everyone. So, nice to see you, Aussie. I hope you're well, buddy. Anyone who's watching, please make sure you go and check out Aussie Goiners' channel. He's got a really, really good channel. He did, for the Arsenal fans in the house, he did a really interesting... him and Football Capital and another guy, they did a great video earlier today about Arsenal transfer news. So if you can, go and check it out. Right, yeah, so let's move on. Now, it has been reported that there are large concentrations of methane gas in the area, and remember I was saying earlier about how it can cause problems for ships. Basically, these are due to apparently decompressing sea organisms which are trapped in the ocean floor. The methane accumulates as super concentrated methane ice, and if a pocket ruptures, the gas surges up to the surface without warning, and as I said, it like sends up bubbles, like in the picture. It just like lots of bubbles, and it means that the water, it becomes less dense, which means that the ships aren't able to float, and then they end up sinking. So it's a huge problem. And if a ship is in the area of the blowout, the water beneath it would suddenly become much less dense, as I said, and it would sink, and sediment would quickly cover it as it settles onto the sea floor. Now, the next one is we're going to talk about is rogue waves. Now, another popular theory is that the missing vessels were felled by so-called rogue waves, which are massive waves that can reach between heights of between up to 100 feet, which is 30.5 meters, and would theoretically be powerful enough to destroy all evidence of a ship or an aeroplane. The Bermuda Triangle is located in the area of the Atlantic Ocean, where storms from multiple directions can converge, making rogue waves more likely to occur. So, yeah, it just sounds like it's a bit of a hot spot for mad weather, really. Oops. Hold on, guys. I don't know what happened there. Might be a sec. Let me just get back up to where I was. Right, yeah, so here we are. I'm back on track. Sorry about that. Yeah, so the rogue waves obviously are going to be a huge problem because, you know, if you're talking about waves that high, it's going to be a massive problem for shipping. Right, extreme weather. So as we heard about the storms all converging all together and causing the problem. Now, the majority of Atlantic tropical storms and hurricanes pass through the Bermuda Triangle, and in the days prior to improved weather forecasting, these dangerous storms claimed many, many ships. Also, the Gulf Stream can cause rapid and sometimes violent changes in weather, and additionally, the large number of islands in the Caribbean Sea creates many areas of shallow water that can be hazardous to ship navigation because they're probably going to run aground or stuff like that. Now, also, it's one of the world's busiest shipping lanes. So the area is one of the most highly trafficked for amateur pilots and sailors, and one of the most heavily trafficked shipping lanes in the world. So therefore, statistically, it stands to reason that the more traffic that goes through the area, the more chance there is of something happening, like planes crashing or disappearing, or sinking, planes, boats sinking, stuff like that. But I'm not convinced about that, to be honest, because I just don't see how it would, why ships would just suddenly appear with completely abandoned, and I don't know, I'm just not convinced about that at all. Obviously, if there's more boats and planes going through the area, then there is more likelihood that something's going to be happening. But I don't know. I'm not completely sure about that. Carne AFC is in the chat, and he says, "Good evening, everybody. Hope you're all good tonight." Warren, my friend, same to you as well, mate. Well, thank you very much, buddy. The Aussie Gooner, massive electrical disturbances there. Storms are also erratic and are lively with thunder. Yeah, there they are. And we're going to be talking about something similar, very close to your part of the world in a little while, Aussie Gooner. James Steele says lots of UFO sightings around the whole Gulf. Yeah, that's true. And then Jez says methane as a Pacific gravity of 0.9, which is lighter than air or water, and which each an SG of 1. So if methane is being released, it would erupt out of the water, but it would have to be a huge amount. There you go. See, the man who knows. I didn't know any of that stuff. But Jez obviously knows all about it. So there you go. Carne says, Craig, Aussie Goon, I hope you're good, guys. And Jay says, imagine that giant methane explosions, Jez. And Craig Malloy says, Carne AFC 85, big up on good, mate. Right, so let's move on. Now, as I was saying, the area is very highly trafficked, and statistically, you would think that there would be more accidents happening there just because of the amount of traffic going through the area. So that is one possible explanation, that it's not anything unusual. It's just because there's more stuff going through there. So the next thing is, well, there isn't a mystery. There's no mystery at all, right? And what they're saying is that in 1992, British free-to-air TV channel, a British free-to-air TV channel made a documentary about the Bermuda Triangle. And as part of their research, they contacted the marine insurance market of Lloyd's of London, and they were asked if an unusually large number of ships had sunk in the Bermuda Triangle area. Now, Lloyd's of London's response to this was that unusually large numbers of ships had not sunk there, and Lloyd's does not charge higher rates for passing through the area. And the United States Coast Guard records also confirm their conclusion. And in fact, the number of supposed disappearances is relatively insignificant considering the number of ships and aircraft that pass through there on a regular basis. Hence why I put mystery. What mystery? All right. So these people were saying, well, there isn't. And if they're setting insurance policies and stuff, if there's a big risk, they ain't gonna risk money. These people, that's for sure. But it keeps happening. So what's going on? Right, okie doke. Let's move on. So once again, guys, please don't forget Diesel Arsenal channel. Please, the Diesel Arsenal YouTube channel. Please make sure you subscribe to it. Also, make sure that you subscribe to my channel, Warren's Team Talk. And make sure you go and check out the work of the Guendouzi Trust. They do really excellent work for disadvantaged kids, helping them to go and be able to see football matches in the best seats in the house at the Emirates Stadium. So please, please, please go and check it out. And tomorrow, 3 o'clock on my channel, Warren's Team Talk, I'm doing part 3 of my review of the season that's just gone. So please come and check that out and have a look and see what I've got to say about that. So, Carney AFC 84 says that's a seriously unstable place to be travelling into, man. Yeah, well, I'll be talking about people's reactions to going through there in a minute. James Steele, to ignite methane, you need a lower explosive limit between 5 to 15%, which at sea would never happen as you have no ignition source. I only know this as a gas engineer. Boring. And no, it's not boring, Jez. It's interesting, mate. Definitely. And where else we got? We got anything else interesting in here? James Steele says, not boring, Jez. Knowledge is everything. Exactly. So let's look at the main one. I'm sure you're interested in his unconventional theories. Now, the first one I'm going to talk about is extraterrestrial activity. The area has one of the highest levels of UFO sightings and instances of alien abductions have been a popular explanation for the disappearances, but abductions aren't the only theory. Some believe it's a portal to other planets. So basically, it's believed that what's happening when these things are disappearing, that the alien spaceships are like just dragging them up out of the ocean or out of the air, much like in the film Star Wars, at the beginning of the film Star Wars, when you see that huge spaceship chasing a little one and it goes over the top of it, and the next thing you know, it takes it up in a tractor beam into the belly of the bigger spaceship. That's basically what is believed sort of is going on. So that they're like taking up not just the whole group of people, like in the aeroplane or on the ship. They're taking up the whole craft, either the ship or the plane. Which I know it sounds really fanciful, but it would explain quite a lot. And then in the early, I think it was 1978, there was a film called Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and right at the beginning of the film, they show a clip where they go out into a desert and there's all these ships just laying there in the middle of a desert, right? Huge, big tankers, and the famous Flight 19, they find them there as well. And we'll be talking about Flight 19 later. There. Right, hold on. Here we go. So, the effects of Atlantis. So basically, a lot of people believe that due to the Bermuda Triangle's location on the planet, that it's directly above or in the area where the lost city of Atlantis is. Because apparently, according to Plato, he said that the whole continent was sunk overnight. It just became flooded and the sea just claimed it, and it's buried deep beneath the ocean. Now, I mean, he described, the thing that's interesting about this is that Plato described, he was very clear about where Atlantis was. He said it was to the west of the Pillars of Hercules. Now, the Pillars of Hercules are around the area of Gibraltar, so you'd have to go westwards from there. The only landmass at the moment that we know of that is west of Gibraltar is the United States. But at the end of the last ice age, the sea claimed a lot of land because the ice, there were huge quantities of ice that had built up. They all started melting, and it led to the sea levels rising. And it's theorized that what he was describing was this situation where the sea levels were rising and claiming land and so on and so forth like that. And yeah, so it's a very, very interesting subject, the Atlantis thing, because it relates to ancient lost civilizations. And it is also believed that at the end of the last ice, well, the beginning or during the last ice age, the planet actually shifted. The polar caps, they shifted on the axis, and the whole continent of Antarctica slipped down and went into the South Pole, because before this time it was a very warm temperate climate. So this also relates to this, but I'm going off at a tangent and waffling. So many theorize that the triangle is home to the lost city of Atlantis. According to legend and speculation, the city of Atlantis relied on the power of special energy crystals that were extremely powerful. Now, the theory that's been put forward is that these energy crystals are in an altered state of some kind and send out rays of energy that confuse navigation. It is also claimed that the submerged rock formation known as the Bimini Road off the island of Bimini in the Bahamas, which is in the triangle, was originally part of the lost continent of Atlantis. So let's move on. And if we look at portals, there are many that claim that the Bermuda Triangle is in fact a portal to a parallel universe or some other form of dimension, or it's a time traveling portal. When I say portal, I'm talking about like the portals that you would see in that film Stargate, or the TV series Stargate, where someone would just walk through it and they'd reappear somewhere completely different. So that's about the portals. Now, the psychological effects of the Bermuda Triangle. Now, it is claimed that many airlines and shipping companies actively avoid traveling through the Bermuda Triangle area because of the fears of the traveling public and companies. Now, I've traveled a few times from Europe down to South America, or from South America up to the Caribbean. And on one occasion, I got so concerned about it that the stewardess actually come out, bless her, and she sat down next to me, and she had a map with her, and she was drawing out the route that the plane was going to take, because I just got so stressed by this thing, because I was going, we're not going through the Bermuda Triangle, are we? We're not going. And this woman, bless her, she come and sat next to me for a couple of minutes and said, look, this is the route the plane's going to take. We're not going near the triangle. Don't worry, it's going to be fine. So that's what happened. Right. So yeah, so that slide's about, like I was talking about, the psychological effects. And apparently what I was experiencing, this business like freaking out because of the possibility of going through the Bermuda Triangle, it's not an uncommon fear amongst people. So yeah, it's a real problem, and I think a lot of companies don't like their craft going near the place. So, but having said that, it is a very busy shipping lane, and a lot of traffic does go through the area. So anyway, again, I'm probably really upsetting you, but make sure, guys, you come and subscribe to Diesel Arsenal and also to Warren's Team Talk, and come and check me out tomorrow at 3 o'clock, where I'll be talking about part 3 of Arsenal's Arsenal season in general, really. And in this part, I'm going to be looking at the performance of players and teams throughout the course of the season. And yeah, it should be interesting. And make sure as well you go and check out the work of the Guendouzi Trust, excellent charity that helps young people, disadvantaged young people, gives them seats in the best seats in the house in the Emirates Stadium. So please go and check them out. Right, the history of the Bermuda Triangle. Let's get into that. Now, the history of the Bermuda Triangle, while the name was first coined by a chap by the name of Vincent Gaddis in 1964, in a 1964 magazine article, this region has attracted attention for generations. It was been like weird stuff going on around there for a long time. When Christopher Columbus sailed through the area on his first voyage to the New World in 1492, he reported that a great flame of fire crashed into the sea one night, and many people think that might have been a meteor. And then there's also been reports of he also reported seeing a strange light in the distance. A few weeks later, he also wrote about the erratic compass readings, perhaps because at that time a sliver of the Bermuda Triangle was one of the few places on Earth where true north and magnetic north lined up. So, it's obvious that he experienced some really weird stuff going through the area. So there you go. Even back then, it was causing a problem. So now the tempest. Now this is interesting. I didn't know this until I was working on this show for you guys tonight. It is claimed that the William Shakespeare play, The Tempest, written in around 1610 to 11, was based on a real-life Bermuda Triangle shipwreck, which may have enhanced the area's aura of mystery. Now, obviously, for those who don't know, the story of The Tempest is about a storm and how these people get shipwrecked and stuff like that. It's a great story. It really is a great story. And I remember years ago, I was working at a school and I helped out with creating the sound effects for a play that the sixth formers did about The Tempest. And it was a really excellent experience for me. I really enjoyed it. Now, I'm going to talk about the Mary Celeste. The Mary Celeste was one of the most mysterious stories related to the Bermuda Triangle. The ship was discovered on the 4th of December 1872, and nothing seemed out of place, and it just seemed as though everything was the way it should have been. The only thing that was off was the fact that the whole crew just simply disappeared. There were some suggestions that the ship had fallen victim to a pirate attack, but examination of the ship ruled this out, as all the ship's valuables were left untouched, including the barrels of alcohol. And you'd think if it had been fallen foul of a pirate attack that the valuables would have gone, and so would have the alcohol. But no. And someone I spoke to early today told me, I was telling them about what I was doing tonight, and I was telling them about this story, and they said to me that they'd heard it was an insurance job. So whether that's true, I've got no idea, but that's what that person told me. Now, this guy, Joshua Slocum, it is alleged by some that the first incident was, after gaining widespread fame as the first person to sail solo around the globe, Joshua Slocum disappeared on a 1909 voyage from Martha's Vineyard, an island south of Cape Cod in Massachusetts, United States of America, to South America. Though it's unclear exactly what happened, many sources later attributed his death to the Bermuda Triangle. So he sailed out of this place called Martha's Vineyard, and that was it. He just vanished. No one knows what happened. So yeah, very, very strange. And you think that someone who managed to sail their way around the world single-handedly wouldn't just get lost like that. It just doesn't add up. Now, the USS Cyclops. It is alleged by some that the first incident involving the Bermuda Triangle was the USS Cyclops. It is a 542-foot long US Navy cargo ship that was lost in 1918. After the leaving port in Bermuda, it was never heard from again, when there was over 306 passengers aboard and 10,000 tons of magnesium ore, and no wreckage was ever found. The Cyclops never sent out an SOS distress call, despite being equipped to do so, and after an extensive search, if they found no wreckage. And US President Woodrow Wilson later said, "Only God and the sea know what happened to that great ship." So there you go. It's just weird, like all these different things happening. Do you know what I mean? Because I don't know about anyone else, I just don't ever remember hearing about things of that size just going missing like that. It just, or like whole crews of people disappearing and whatnot. It just don't make sense to me. In 1941, two of the Cyclops sister ships seemingly vanished without a trace along nearly exactly the same route. And the loss of the USS Cyclops was the single largest loss of life from a non-military event in Navy history, and also one of the most enduring mysteries. And after the loss of the USS Cyclops, a pattern then allegedly began forming in which vessels traversing the Bermuda Triangle would either disappear or be found abandoned. Now, what I find quite interesting about this, right, is that let me just check something. Yeah, what I find as well quite interesting is when we come to the next one, right? Bear in mind when I tell you about this that there was a crashed alien spaceship allegedly in the Nevada desert in 1947 in Roswell, right? Bear that in mind and remember the date 1947, right? Hold on. Yeah. Okie doke. Then in 1945, in probably the most famous Bermuda Triangle incident, 5 Navy bombers carrying 14 men took off from a Fort Lauderdale, Florida airfield in order to conduct practice bombing runs over some nearby shoals. But with his compass apparently malfunctioning, the leader of the mission, known as Flight 19, got severely lost. All 5 planes flew aimlessly until they ran out of fuel and were forced to ditch at sea. The same day, a rescue plane and a 13-man crew also disappeared. And after a massive weeks-long search failed to turn up any evidence, the official Navy report declared that it was so they had just flown to Mars. You see, they just completely disappeared. Now, this incident, Flight 19, is the one I was mentioning about earlier that appeared in the very beginning of the film, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. And that image there is from that film. And it shows 2 of the actors stood near one of the planes that looked like they're almost brand new. So it's very, very strange. Now, so bear that in mind, because as I was just saying to you that around that time there was also the Roswell incident in 1947 in the Nevada desert, and there's more incidents that happen around this time as well involving the Bermuda Triangle. So it's just all very interesting to me. It really is, because I'm not 100% convinced there isn't some link somehow. Now, we're going to look at some famous other incidents involving the Bermuda Triangle. Now, the first one is involving Her Majesty's ship Atlanta in 1880. The sail training ship HMS Atlanta, originally named HMS Juno, disappeared with her entire crew after sailing from the Royal Navy Dockyard, Bermuda, for Falmouth, England, on the 31st of January 1880. It was presumed that she sank in a powerful storm, which cost her route a couple of weeks after she sailed, and that her crew, being composed primarily of inexperienced trainees, may have been a contributing factor. The search for evidence of her fate attracted worldwide attention at the time. Connection is often made to the 1878 loss of the training ship HMS Eurydice, which foundered after departing the Royal Navy Dockyard in Bermuda for Portsmouth on the 6th of March. And she was alleged decades later to have been a victim of the mysterious triangle. An allegation resoundingly refuted by the research of author David Francis Rain in 1997. Now, the thing is about this, right? That ship, like the HMS Atlanta, was originally named HMS Juno. Now, I don't know if any of you have heard. There's an expression that we have. Well, I have it with my mates. I don't know if it's widespread in this country or not, but you say to if someone's really unlucky, you just call them a, a Jonah, right? So I'm just wondering if that comes from this, like that. Oh, that person is just a bloody Jonah, because then bring bad luck, and I'm just wondering if there's some sort of link or something, because that's why. Like anything that's to do with bad luck is called a Jonah. So I don't know if that's got something to do with the Juno or something like that. Could be. I don't know. But you never know. Stranger things have happened at sea, as they say. Anyway, so Star Tiger and Star Ariel, 1948 and 1949. And this is what I'm saying. We've had that massive bloody ship going missing in 1945. These two, and now these aeroplanes as well in 1948 and 1949. All right. So, and then the Flight 19 as well in 1945. So it seems in like from the mid 40s to the like late 40s, there was a lot of incidents with boats, planes, and then crashed UFOs. It just all seems a bit weird to me. So anyway, going back to Star Tiger and Star Ariel. Star Tiger disappeared on the 30th of January 1948 on a flight from the Azores to Bermuda, and Star Ariel disappeared on the 17th of January 1949 on a flight from Bermuda to Kingston, Jamaica. Both were Avro Tudor 4 passenger aircraft operated by British South American Airways, and both planes were operating at the very limits of their range, and the slightest error or fault in the equipment could keep them from reaching the small island. So you see, it's just all very weird to me. It really is. And now there's another one, Douglas DC, 1949. Now, on the 28th of December 1948, a Douglas C-3 aircraft disappeared while on a flight from San Juan, Puerto Rico to Miami. No trace of the aircraft or the 32 people on board was ever found, and a civil aeronautics board investigation found there was insufficient information available on which to determine the possible cause of the disappearances. So let's see. I found this. Right, I'm going to give you an eyewitness testimony now. All right. Now, so under the broad heading of what do sailors think about it, one sailor's eyewitness testimony. Now, so this guy said, I read all the stories of boats and planes disappearing, said Brunel skipper Bo Becking, but in all the times I've raced through the Bermuda Triangle area, never has anything strange happened. Well, maybe the only thing I remember is that in some races we've had ferocious thunderstorms and got hit by lightning, once killing all the electronics on board. So there you go. This guy went through the area. There was a massive, horrific thunderstorm and massive lightning that struck the controls on the boat, and it just messed up all the controls, which would make it very difficult to for them to carry on with their journey in a safe manner. So let's have a look now about other strange places around the planet, like the Bermuda Triangle, and then otherwise known as vial vortices. The Bermuda Triangle, even though it is one of the most terrifyingly Sorry. So the Bermuda Triangle, even though it's one of the most terrifyingly fascinating places on our planet because of the way that ships and planes simply vanish, radios and companies compasses stop working, and the inexplicable sightings of strange objects, this is not the only place on the planet where strange things such as this have been reported, and there are at least 11 other mysterious places. So let's have a look at them. All right. Now, the first one, the Algerian megaliths. Now, besides the paranormal theories of wormholes to other dimensions and gates to the underworld, the Bermuda Triangle can also be very foggy due to the wrong side. The Bermuda Triangle can also be very foggy due to the methane gas that sometimes makes it impossible for travellers to see, thus making navigation a real tricky one. So basically, this like huge fog descends, and it makes it really difficult for people to see where they're going. And I live out in the countryside, and I've been in really dense fogs from time to time, and I've also been in forests where there's no lighting at all, and if you go through there at night, it's difficult to even see your hand in front of your face. And it's all when it's like that as well, it's really weird because it's very difficult to keep walking in a straight line because you've got no idea what way you're going or what's going on, and you find when it does become suddenly brighter, you just find yourself in like really weird positions. But anyway, I don't quite understand how that happens, but it does. But anyway, so let's now talk about the Algerian megaliths, right? They are an architectural anomaly, showing just how advanced these people were for a time when we didn't have the technology to help us build stable constructions. They were burial grounds made by the Qing Empire, who were one of the world's most ancient civilizations. There have been numerous instances of aircraft flying over this area simply disappearing, and navigational and electronic equipment starts to inexplicably start malfunctioning as well. So there's obviously something strange going on here, and people think it's got something to do with these megaliths, which is highly possible, really. But it's very, very strange, that's for sure. Then the next one we're going to talk about is Mohenjo-Daro in Pakistan. It goes way back to the Indus Valley civilization in 2500 BC. And like in Algeria, this society was for some reason surprisingly advanced when it came to building and urban planning. The strange thing is, no one seems to know why exactly this civilization came to an end. Some people have said it was because of a natural disaster, an armed invasion from a neighbouring power, or a vengeful or angry deity. But no one seems to really know what happened to them. They just simply vanished overnight. It was very, very strange. I know I keep saying that. It's very strange. But it is. It is. So the Dragon's Triangle. Now, the Dragon's Triangle is very similar to Bermuda's Triangle, but in a different location. It's also known as the Devil's Sea, and is located in the sea around Japan. Now, the most astonishing thing about this vile vortex is that there is an underwater city dubbed Japan's Atlantis, and the Japanese authorities have deemed the area to be so dangerous that they have banned people from going anywhere near it. So that's interesting that they are so concerned about it that they've stopped any anyone from going near the place. Now, there is underwater structures in that area because I've seen documentaries about them. And the structures under the sea, I'm telling you, there is no way on earth that they're not man-made, because they're perfect, like perfectly carved, right? Up and down, left and right, they're like perfect right angles. There is just no way that nature could create structures of that nature. Like, I suppose they could, but I've never seen anything like it. If someone can explain to me how that can happen, I'll be obviously willing to listen, but it seems very, very strange to me. And it just seems to me it's very strange that one area, like this Dragon's Triangle, where there's a lost ancient civilization in the sea in Japan, there's this area where weird stuff happens to anything that travels through it. And then you got another one where there's alleged ancient civilization buried deep beneath in the ocean, and there's also weird stuff going on there as well. It just seems a bit of a coincidence, really. Anyway, so the next one, the Hamakulia volcano. Now, the Hamakulia volcano in Hawaii, locals treat it with the utmost respect, as the volcano is believed to have mysterious power. It has been proven to have some strange electrical energy in the area, and there have also been reports of aircraft disappearing off the radar. So basically, this volcano's got huge electrical power attached to it, which is a bit strange. And it has the power to affect aircraft. So the moral of the story is, don't go flying any aircraft near that thing, because if you don't get hit by electric, you're going to get cooked alive by the molten lava that gets shot up out of the volcano. So Easter Island. Now, we go down to south of the equator, to one of the most isolated places on the planet, Easter Island in Polynesia. This is where you can find nearly 900 Mawa statues allegedly created by the Rapa Nui people, but they were and they all are facing out to sea. And why is that? On the island, there are also numerous seemingly unfinished statues just laying around on the ground, seemingly waiting to be placed into position. So these statues just standing there looking out to sea, all of them looking out to sea. There's also statues that just laying around, just waiting to be placed into position. And no one knows how they got there. It's alleged they were built by an ancient civilization that lived there, but no one seems to know much about them. And it's just very strange that people would just suddenly down tools like that. I mean, it's not Arsenal Football Club we're talking about. People downing tools. Yeah, but seriously, why would people just leave structures unfinished? Some of them are like partially carved as well. Some of them are just laying around and waiting to be just positioned into place. It's just very bizarre. Now, let's move on. So this next one, the South Atlantic anomaly. It is part of the Earth where natural radiation flows out of control. It has been reported that astronauts who've tried to look at the area have ended up suffering hallucinations, and it's even alleged that satellites are unable to take photographs of the area. It is claimed that by some there is a portal to another dimension, but scientists have put the strangeness down to the fact that the area is part of the planet where Earth's magnetic field is at its weakest. So again, another strange one. Now, let's look at Great Zimbabwe. Now, Great Zimbabwe, another impressive megalith. This time it's in Zimbabwe. It was once home to around 20,000 people, but is now a ghost town. And no one knows where its inhabitants went or how. It is a complete and utter mystery. So just suddenly the whole place just completely vanished. And this seems to be happening like a lot. We're hearing stories of boats turning up with no one on them, and cities suddenly vanish to people, all their inhabitants vanishing. It just makes you wonder what's going on. Now, we're going to talk about the Wharton Basin. Now, I don't know if the Aussie Gooner is still in the chat, but on the west side of Australia is the Wharton Basin. It suffers from very strange geological events such as powerful earthquakes happening one after the other, which wouldn't be so strange if it was a place that had two tectonic plates meeting. But in this area, it's not the case. Many scientists believe that what's happening is that there's a new fault line developing. So that may be why there's a lot of seeming earthquake activity, and it may be an explanation as to why a lot of planes seemingly disappear in this area. So the Loyalty Islands. Now that's right the other side of Australia. Now the Loyalty Islands is a place where a lot of strange whirlpools were found on a patch of the South Pacific, as well as plenty of geologic activity, and it's alleged that an island simply just disappeared in this area in 2012. It's true to say that there was an island on maps in that area, but it seems that it was put in this area on maps by mistake. So the island never was there to start with. It was just a mistake. So let's move on. So the North Pole and the South Pole. Now, I've spoken to you guys before about the stuff at the South Pole. They're on opposite sides of the planet, but they've got two things in common: ice and odd disappearances. The North Pole, it is alleged, saw an expedition of 129 men just vanish, and they were not discovered for another 150 years. And then in the South Pole, it's home to a lot of strange activity. It is claimed that there are secret alien bases there, and that some Nazis fled there at the end of the Second World War, and that some of the alien activity there may predate human civilization by several millions of years, with suggestions that the aliens may have even created us by manipulating our DNA. It's also becoming a widely accepted fact by many mainstream scientists that Antarctica, which now lies in the South Pole, may have at one point been a lot further north than it currently is at present, and it enjoyed a warm temperate climate at that point. But due to the incredibly traumatic changes that the Earth went through at the start and end of the last ice age, it ended up in the South Pole area due to the violent changes in climate conditions and crust displacement. So basically what happened is that at this time, the Earth it was like a orange inside with the orange peel removed, but it just sort of shifted. The whole planet just shifted on its the outer shell of the planet just shifted round. It was very, very traumatic time for the whole planet, and that's how Antarctica ended up where it is today. So very, really strange goings on. And if you want to read more about that stuff, like, you know, Antarctica and about the stuff that went on at the end of the last ice age, you can always read a book by a chap by the name of Graham Hancock, and he wrote a book years and years ago called The Fingerprints of the Gods. Absolutely fascinating book. And when it first came out, it got really poo-pooed and people really went in on him. But slowly but surely, the theories that he came out with are starting to be proven to be true. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And it's very, very interesting. And maybe one of these weeks I'll do a show about that because it's fascinating. It really is. So let's see what we've got next. Right. So this tomorrow is going to be my show that I'm doing. I'm doing it 3 o'clock tomorrow on my channel. And I talk about Arsenal and the season that's just finished. And the title of the show is Statistically a Success or Simply a Case of Lies, Damn Lies and Statistics. So that'll be 3 o'clock on my channel, Warren's Team Talk. And I'll review it. It's part 3 of my review of Arsenal season. And it'll be looking at a lot of statistical content. So if that's your bag, come and check me out. And because it's going to be interesting. It really is. Yeah, so make sure you come and check me out and whatnot. And we'll have a good old natter about that. So listen, guys, I want to thank you all very much for watching. Please make sure that you subscribe to Diesel Arsenal's YouTube channel and also to my channel, Warren's Team Talk. The links for my channel are at the beginning of the chat, I believe. Also, I put in the link for tomorrow's show on there. I've also going to put information about the show tomorrow on my Instagram page. And I've put it on Twitter. And yeah, you'll be able to find it if you do a search for me on YouTube as well, Warren's Team Talk. So make sure you come and do that. Come and check me out. I'll be delighted to see you all tomorrow. It'll be very nice chat tomorrow. Hopefully won't get too intense. But there you go. So that's it. Don't forget as well to go and check out the Guna Claude Trust. Really, really excellent charity. Please, guys, they do really fantastic work. So please go and show them some love and support them. So yeah, that's it. That's the end of my show. We've looked at some of the theories behind what it could be, both conventional and unconventional. We also looked at the history of the thing. We looked at other areas which are similar to the Bermuda Triangle. So I hope you really, really enjoyed that. And please don't forget to put a like on the video for Diesel as well. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe to my channel too. And yeah, because I will come and do this on Diesel's channel usually about once every fortnight or so. So I'm not sure what we're going to do next time, but I'll be having a chat with Diesel about it. And if you've got any ideas about what you'd like me to talk about next, please put it in the comment section. Also, please put in the comment section what you thought about today's show and what you thought about some of the theories I put forward to explain it. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. don't forget, take care of yourselves and look after your loved ones and friends and family, and keep talking as well, and make sure you spread some love and kindness around the world, please. All right, take care, guys. Thanks very, very much for watching the show, and I look forward to seeing you all again really soon. Thanks a lot. Take care, everyone. Bye for now.